right home? We ready? We are rolling. All right, good. Hey, welcome to Dreams in Action. I'm your host, C. Orson Brown, and welcome to the show. I want to give a high five, a fist bump, a shout out to all the listeners who are rocking with us on Let's Talk Tuesday. But before we get into our show, we have a great show tonight. The show is entailed about love, legacy, and the lack of a father. And so we're going to tailor this conversation around a father and how fathers have impacted our lives. The whole substratum, the foundation is that as we begin to look at attachments, our early upbringing affect us and impact us, good or bad or indifference. And so tonight's show, we're going to just look at fathers, and I have some great brothers with me tonight, and I'll introduce them in a second. But before we start, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor tonight. It's definitely Leaf Affair. It's owned by a veteran who is one of our own, and we support our own. He's a retired veteran. He served faithfully in the military, army, and retired, and he opened this remarkable shop up. And so I want to say, those who are in the Killeen, Fort Hood area, if you are here, if you're passing through, come on by and stop in this place at the Leaf Affair, where Jake is the owner, and you will easily be able to have a great cigar and have some good casual conversation with some remarkable men and women. And so that's the commercial break. But let's go ahead and get this thing started. So tonight's conversation is about the love, the legacy, and the lack of a father. And so I want to open up the panel. I have my man to my left. I have my man Cornell, who I also call Big Chef. He's a part of my team. I also have to my right, Eric, who I call Cool Breeze. Sean, who's Cool Breeze. Eric is not here tonight. I call him, Firestorm. And my sister, who we call Vita, is Lady Day. And our guest panel on here tonight, of course, from last time, my man Soul, Brother Soul. And then tonight we have some two gentlemen who want to join in the conversation. We have Sebastian, and we also have Derek. But I want to open the first question, and we leave it to the round table and allow these gentlemen to begin to start out the conversation. And the first question, and those who listen, I want you to listen as well, because again, I said early attachment impact us, who we become, how we date, how we love, how we find our purpose. All of those things are predicated upon attachments and how we are impacted by those things, good or bad or indifferent. So the first question tonight that I want you to reflect on as well is that what were some of the great memories, brothers, what were some of the great memories that you have coming up with this? I see you smile.
I'm just laughing because I can't answer.
But I got something to say. Some of the great memories that you had, growing up with your dad. Who wants to open up?
I'll open it up. So, growing up with my dad, I did have a few great memories that I do remember. I was born July 3rd, so right next to the 4th of July.
Yeah.
I'm from New Orleans, so I remember when I was younger, when my dad was around, man, we used to go to City Park, have a barbecue, and then we'll go to Storyland, and we'll ride on the rides, and it was kind of like a big thing, it was kind of like a celebration for 2 days for me. I get the third and the fourth, My dad was a jazz musician,
Nice.
He played saxophone.
Is that right?
Yeah, so I'm from
Man,
New Orleans.
I'm a sax man.
I'm a woodwind man myself.
Man, what?
I'm a trumpet guy.
Okay.
Fond memories of that. My dad used to take us to this little ballroom with his kids they used to hang out at. We used to play Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, and I remember all of that stuff growing up. I was like 5, 6 years old before my mom and dad separated.
Yeah.
I do remember those great moments. I remember him waking up in the morning, he used to eat his cornflakes with cheese.
With cheese.
With cheese. It's stuff I used to remember. Frosted Flakes? No, cornflakes
Man, he
with
gonna have to
cheese.
share that story a little later. Cornflakes with cheese.
My dad used to eat cornflake with cheese, and then I'd be looking at him, he'll look at me, give me that little wink, and I'd be like,
In the cereal or just on the side?
No, in the cereal. And he used to always drink V8 tomato juice. I remember that.
Man.
So that was my dad, and those were some really good memories that I had of him growing up as a kid. They were good,
man. That's good.
So that's the good.
Okay.
Well, I didn't have a father.
Okay.
I had my grandfather.
Yeah.
I grew up with my grandparents in Jersey, and then we moved to New York. And my grandfather was the man to me. He took us to football games, basketball games. I remember my greatest is sitting in our den and my grandfather would play jazz music. That's how I got into this, and he would play albums. I don't know what that's vinyl for those that don't know.
They may not know. Exactly.
That's vinyl sound.
Right.
Those that don't know what album is.
He used to lay down.
Records.
You had to blow it off and set it down. That's right.
You gotta put the nickel on the needle, let that so it play evenly. But I did, and I was like, and that's where my love of music and my passion for music came from, because he would sit back and he loved jazz and blues, and I would sit back and he would just let us listen, and it was just, and I fell in love with that. But my grandfather was this man of few words, but all his actions spoke.
Yeah.
And and like I said, my fondest memories are literally coming from school, and I can smell, he worked in the dye factory, so I always knew when he was home. Because either I could smell the pipe. Yeah. Because he was a pipe. I love that pipe. He'll smoke a pipe or a cigar.
Nice smell, huh?
Or you can smell the dye from the dye. He'd be like, oh, Pop's on. And I would call my grandfather Pops. He was out Pops. He was like, Pop's on. And he always, I don't care where, he come out the shower. But if somehow he always had change on. Yeah. I'm like, how you always, he always, come here, boy. And he always had change in his pocket.
You ready?
Like, yeah. So those are my memories of my grandfather growing up. And he passed away when I was 9, so it was like after that, I didn't have anything else. But I still hold on to all those little memories, even at that age.
Those are some great memories, man. It's interesting how we still remember those memories that somewhat helped us to love some of the things that we love today. And so I want to keep it going. And Cool Breeze, you want to share, my man,
Derek, let's get Derek.
All right.
He's a new guy.
Cool Breeze, you can rock this thing, man.
He the rookie on the All-Star team.
Hey, go ahead. Derek, you want to share with us tonight?
Yeah. When I grew up, I was pretty close to my dad and my parents the whole time. But I remember this one time when I was 4 or 5 even. There's like this play, like church play or something, I can't remember. And he was like called in as a substitute, and he was like supposed to like die. And I was so sad. It killed me. And then, I've been close, obviously, but I remember that day was like different change. I was like attached to him, and I remember like going to like retreats with him when I was younger and stuff, and just spending quality time. It was really good. And he also got me into music. He played trumpet, and I played sax. Yeah.
Alto, tenor, Barry?
Tenor.
Okay. Alto, tenor.
Yeah.
Alto player. We're gonna have to bring in our instruments and something, fellas.
I still gotta hang it up, man.
We spent a lot of time.
Great memories, man.
Yeah. We spent a lot of time with his parents and their family. Just playing Uno and whatnot,
Yeah.
All those rivalries, but.
Can you play some spades?
I used to. It's been a long time.
This guy real, y'all.
Right. When you play Uno, or do you just go by the rules?
You gotta break the rules.
Because we play differently. I don't know. I was just asking, do I play differently? Because my family hate playing with me.
Oh, they were.
You don't play by the rules. You got your own stuff.
So what are your thoughts, man? Sebastian, Cool Breeze, some memories that you can share about your dad.
Well, cigar for tonight, Davidoff, Nicaragua Box Press.
Okay.
Here it comes.
Okay.
Yeah, speaking of my father.
Davidoff number 2, or what you got there?
Oh, this is Nicaragua Box
Okay.
Press.
Okay.
Yeah, man. Should
All
try
right.
it. You never heard
Nicaragua
that?
Mile, right?
Davidoff number 2.
Number 2?
Yeah, but man, you'll share what about your dad? Memories that you have about him.
Well, right now he's an old man trying to get in heaven.
Okay,
That's about it.
Okay.
He's
an old man. Cool Breeze.
That's not him up there.
He's an old man trying to get in heaven.
I'm trying.
My man, Big Chef, you hear my man? Cool
Memories.
Breeze?
Yeah. All right, let's get into it. The memories that I have with my dad.
All right.
Of course, I think from the first couple of videos, I did not grow up with my father.
Gotcha.
There were men within the neighborhood that had good influence on me. But that doesn't really discredit my father. He started coming around. I remember as a kid, you take your little daily naps. I would say I was about 3, 4, 5 years old, and I would wake up. My mom would say, "Your dad stopped by."
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I never seen him, but I don't remember. Why didn't he stick around? And he would always draw or color in my coloring book. And I guess he was very artistic, very crafty with his hands. So I developed that.
Yeah.
that gift of artistry from him, and I used to play trumpet. I played bass guitar as well.
Nice.
I've never known him to play any instruments, but he's a very reclusive person, very mechanically inclined, very wise, very sarcastic. I think we developed our relationship as I got older, especially in my teenage years.
Yeah.
And I got to understand him a whole lot more. My mother, she never trashed him, never had anything bad to say about him. You know, I do remember growing up, I would stay the weekend with him. He would always be in the garage working on a car or something like that, and I would babysit my baby sister on that side. As far as what French had the experiences, and my man Derek, no, never even been fishing. Anything, one-on-one, the father and son. Haven't had those moments yet, and I'm 43. I'm waiting.
Yeah. And as we see, man, as I said, our early attachments really impact us. It really shape us, good or bad or indifferent, right? And sometimes some of the challenging moments that we perhaps have had also have caused us to have certain drives and inspirations. And so I want to go to the next question, okay? And I'm going to open up with you, Sebastian, okay? And the second question for us I want to think about is that you walked into it. What were some of the challenging circumstances, right? Growing up, good or bad indifference, that you know today as we think back. We can't change the past. And I want to encourage those who are listening that we can never change the past. We know I don't have a DeLorean, right, to drive back and go back to the future. I ain't created that yet. Right? I'm just saying. But we can't. What we can do is this, though. This is what I have discovered, becoming a clinician myself, is that we can take the past and bring that past, and that's what we're doing. We kind of pumping the well a little bit. We can take the past and we can bring it into the present, and we can process it. We can deal with it. We can face it. We can talk about it. We can, in fact, therapy. I mean, you can have Buddha, Allah, Confucius, and Jesus, and a therapist, right? It's okay. Yeah, that's right. And a therapist. To help process those past things that take place in our present, so our future is much more prominent. All right. So the question, Sebastian, I want you to open up. All right, and so share a couple minutes, right? If we go around, get to the next question, is that what are some of those challenging circumstances that impacted you as you think about your own life?
I believe one of the most easiest where we can all, it's almost in this table right here, can say that we can relate that times he was not there.
Right. Wow.
Not because he chose to, or the reasons could be various reasons.
Yeah.
But when they weren't there, when people were like, hey, there's an activity where it's father-son or bonding or male figure or like show and tell kind of thing, bring your parent, whatever like that.
Yeah.
It made it seem like there was times where my mom was a single parent, and it doesn't make it seem to where like, hey, when he wasn't around, like, hey, me and my brothers, we gotta like, hey, things gotta get done around the house. This has gotta be, you kind of grow up faster.
Sure.
Because those lessons were like kind of taught to you really quick. But then again, if anything, how my father was, it's kind of like, hey, do what I say, don't do what you see, kind of thing. So as a kid, the challenge was to figure out the rights and the wrongs, starting out really young, and then like try not to let those negative things in life make you a worse person than he is. Because me and my family members, we all decided like, hey, we're going to be better than our dads. We got to be. We can't not set that standard that low, because our future generations don't deserve it.
So we can see how dad not being there, man, impacted you, right? So dad not showing up to games or for whatever reasons, not showing up to games or saying he's going to be there, he's not. And this is not a conversation, a bashing of mom or dad, because next week or the week after we're going to talk about moms too, how just upbringing affect us. And so those things do impact us. Big showers, Sebastian, SB, cool breeze. But to, again, process those things, and as I heard Sebastian say, to reflect upon it and take those circumstances and say, how can we be better? How can we not do some of the things that our dad pops did not do, the lot. We still love them, but how can we change some of those circumstances? Who want to dance? Who want to jump in?
So I'm ready to jump in.
Yeah, man.
This
You
one.
come on, man. Take this round.
So this is how it affected me.
Yeah.
So my mom and dad, they pretty much separated when I was like 5, 6 years old.
Yeah.
Now I got older brothers and sisters, and we talked about this last week. We all have different relationships with our father because of the experience that we had. So they were there with him longer than I was. I'm the baby of the family.
Yeah.
So when him and my mom broke up, my dad came around, but I didn't get that one-on-one like you. I didn't get the fishing. I didn't get to fix the car. I didn't get any of that. I see my dad, and I kind of acknowledge him like, hey, what up? He's like, hey, how you doing, Mr. Cool? I'm good. And we keep it going, you know? But just that direct relationship that, hey, let's go to the football game and all the rest of that stuff, I missed out on that. But one of the things I can say is, it didn't affect me growing up because I had older brothers, I had cousins, uncles, and when my sister was dating other gentlemen, they kind of took me in indirectly.
Yeah, you had that,
and
that role
and they
model.
gave me that balance, you
Yeah,
know. So
yeah.
I mean, I wasn't missing out on anything at all.
Yeah.
But when it affected me was when I joined the Army and I got older, and my dad kind of moved back in.
So all of those,
So
all of those memories flash. Yeah.
So-
yeah, all those memories flash back.
So for
Yeah,
me, it was
that's
like,
good, man.
Yeah. Like,
wait a minute.
Right. Yeah.
We're out the house, and now you here?
Yeah.
As soon as I leave?
Yeah.
What time is this? So
Yeah.
that was the kind of thing that kind of made me feel some kind of way. And it took me a long time to get over that, and I'm still dealing with that.
Yeah. That's good, man.
But as I get older and I get wiser, and I kind of understand my dad's circumstance
That's good.
and his situation, I understand.
Yeah.
You know, I always say,
That's
I got
good.
my swag from my dad,
Yeah.
and I got my hustle from my mom and my heart. You know?
I like that.
I'm glad that he
Yeah.
brought me here, but I did
Yeah.
feel indifferent on certain things. And it's kind of like, to me, my dad was kind of like, for us military guys, it's kind of like the Sergeant Major of the Army. If you don't work directly with the Sergeant Major of the Army, you know who that cat is.
You know he is,
but
Yeah.
he doesn't really impact you as much as maybe your first sergeant.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that was kind of relationship. I acknowledge you, I know you, I love you, but I don't know you like that.
Yeah, I got you.
So that's when it impacted me, and we'll go further, but I'll like to pass the question to the
Yeah,
next person.
and real quick, man, y'all jump in too, right?
oh,
Listen,
yeah, I would- oh.
yeah, definitely. Hey, listen, sometimes, right, we can have epiphany moments. You know, until I started training to become a clinician, I was oblivious of some of the things that I didn't even know that was there, right? You know what I'm saying? And as you get older too, I don't know, we just begin to reflect more as you get older, and things begin to come up that I didn't even know that was there.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, man, go ahead. You who want to jump in?
When you said that, my
Yeah.
grandfather, he would have these sayings.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, and as a child, I never understood. You know, I used to be like, "What? A cow got what? The cow got to do with it?" Like, you know, I used to be like, "What? Grand? What? I don't." I never forget when I was 16. I was in high school, and something happened, and that saying just popped in my head, like.
Yeah.
And I finally understood what he was saying. And throughout my life, all these sayings have actually directed my life. Like, because again, like when I was a kid, I didn't understand it. But now, when you got older and your mind is somewhere different, you can put, it makes sense now. And like in my magazine, every month I have this thing in my magazine called Pop's Quote of the Month, where I do these quotes, and I name after my grandfather. But because he's old, and I say that, and that's what impacted me, like, because you don't think like you were saying earlier, some things that you don't even realize are in you until you get older, and then you started seeing what he see. You start seeing him in you.
Absolutely.
And it's crazy because again, like I said, I was a child, and you know my grandfather was older, and that's why I was raised with older values. Like, you know, I wasn't raised with my father, so I was raised with a lot of older values.
Yeah, and that definitely is impacted.
Right, and it did
Yeah.
because again, you know, like I was older before I was supposed to be old. You know,
You even still got the old vibe, man.
I do
got
it.
that old.
Everybody
I
say
ain't
that.
mad at you,
I've
but
been like that.
you got that old school vibe too. That's right,
my
man.
grandfather
Yes, sir.
my grandfather was a sergeant major.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you, and it was funny because but he never brought that military vibe to me. I didn't even know my grandfather was in the army until after he passed.
Wow.
Because you know after he passed, we was going through all this stuff, and I was pulling up these pictures like, wait a minute, he was in a band. My grandfather was in an army band. He was in a band. He was in a band. And I was like, wait a minute, what? And I never knew that side of him because again, I don't know if I just as a child he didn't see it, but he didn't bring that to our house. So it was like the military thing wasn't there. He raised us like his children.
I got you.
You know, but
And
I was gonna say with you, like I didn't have like growing up after my grandfather passed away, there was no more men. There was no more male role models in my life until I got literally 16. And like I said, my best friend, her father, I started leaning on him a lot more. Yeah. And that was so from 9 to literally 16, I had become the man that I'm early.
It impacts you, man.
Yeah.
Hey, Cool Breeze, you want to jump in?
For challenges, I mean,
Yeah, just think about good, bad, and difference. You know how his influence impacted us, who we are today. Let me say this. My dad, I'm 6'8". My grandfather was 6'10". So my dad was short fella. He was like 5'5". So I jumped a generation. But my dad,
wrong with the short fellas.
man, no, not all of it, man. But my dad, listen, man, my dad, that guy, he would look good, smell good. Before he left the block, it would take 20 minutes to leave the block because he talked to everybody. Man, he never met a stranger. So I see that my sense of gregarious and conversation and people, that guy had the energy to talk to everybody. And I love that. And he dressed well, and he had just big dreams and goals and aspirations. And I think I gained a lot of those big dreams and goals and aspirations. And he had a love for movies, and we would go to Kung Fu. Everybody was Kung Fu.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. Don't know nothing about that.
I know about that.
I know about that.
Yeah, hold up. But back in the movies, where you can sit in the movie, right, and watch it over and over and over again. So I still have a love today for what? Murder, death, kill. Right. So that's my genre of movies. But also too, some of the epiphany, as we talked about some of the challenges. My dad got injured. And I was a teenager, he got injured on his job, and it kind of took him in a downward spiral. His drive, his motivation, all of that. So it was very hard for him to recover. And I watched him begin to slowly deteriorate because of the injury. And so today, the part of it affected me is just the emotional unavailableness. That's not a word. My English teacher was watching. She probably like, that's not a word. But not being there impacted me because I found myself so driven with going after goals and dreams and aspirations that oftentimes I was unavailable to those who were close to me. And so as we go, just lead into the final question. I want to put this out here too as we begin to wrap up. I want you to think about this. When you look over your own life, okay? When you look at it, we're going to conclude with this last question here and wrap up. I see my time is running. Is that when we look over our past lives, good, bad, and different, what areas do you think need to be repaired or improved or restored or made better? How can you take those circumstances?
I wouldn't change
That's
nothing.
good, man.
I wouldn't repair
That's good. That's
anything
good.
about
I
it.
like that.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
No, I was just going to say real quick,
Go ahead,
I wouldn't
jump in.
change a thing, because I love my father.
Yeah.
We get along very great, and as I've gotten older and matured, I'm just like him.
Yeah.
My son is just like us, like me and him.
Yeah.
And so he has a story, Vietnam vet, and he went through some hellacious situations and he needed therapy.
Yeah.
He never received it back in the 60s and 70s.
Wow.
He went through the same thing a lot of vets go through. So that negatively impacted him and his relationship with his family, his children. Thankfully my mom never cast a negative light on him towards me, but as I got to got a chance to know him,
Yeah.
I totally understand. I wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah.
And I'm just waiting to go fishing with him and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal, but he just loves his craft, which is mechanics.
It's a passion, and Derek, I'm gonna let you all jump in too, right? And Big Chef, hey, and also close with so that's good, man.
Yeah.
And so he's waiting for Dad to go fishing, right? So what are some things that we can do that we can leap out, that we can take the initiative to do some things? Because if we continue to wait for some things to happen, sometimes those things never happen if we always continue to wait. We have to find ways to make peace with our past. What I'm learning, we have to find creative ways to make peace with our past so we can continue to move forward.
I do stuff with my son. That's how I do.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
My thing is I'm gonna break that cycle in my
That's
house
good.
by being what my father wasn't with
Yeah.
me, with my son.
Sure.
So, yeah, he didn't take me fishing, but guess what?
You
we gonna go
Yeah,
fishing.
man, that's good.
I'm gonna take my son fishing. So now we gonna go fishing.
That's good, man.
I do stuff with my son. I make sure, my father passed away about 10 years ago. And like I said, I knew him. I knew he was. I knew he didn't know me, but I knew him.
Yeah.
But my thing was, I would call, my sister in New York, and she asked me when he was in the hospital. She was like, "You want to come up? You want to come up and see him?" And I said, "No, I didn't. I didn't want to."
Yeah.
And then my wife was like, "You gonna regret that?" And I said, "I won't." And I hate to say that, but I didn't, and I really didn't. And cause my thing was, I moved on.
I got you.
I moved on,
Yeah,
and
I got you.
it is not me. It wasn't for me to mend that bridge. It wasn't. I'm still the child.
I got you.
I'm not the parent.
Yeah.
So it wasn't for me to
But
mend
as,
that.
as we move on, I want to pause there for a second, because we're going to continue next week and continue having
Right.
these conversations where we can deal with certain attachments so we can be the best versions of ourselves. The goal here in these conversations, Let's Talk Tuesday, as we look at things to prepare our lives to be the best versions of who we've been created to be, right? Good, bad, or different. We can't change the past, but we surely can take our past and bring it to the present, process those things, and allow our lives to move forward to be better. And so, Derek, I want you to jump in. Big Chef, you want to bring this in as we begin to wrap this up, okay? All right. So again, I want to say to those who are listening, if you were listening to us tonight, I want you to reflect upon those questions. As you look over your life, what were some of the things that you've had some great experiences with your father that you can write down? And if you haven't had your father in life, that's a painful experience. But uncles or big brothers or neighborhood grandfathers, those men who have impacted your life, and reflect upon it. And the other question is, what are some life circumstances that kind of knock the wind out of you, where you have had to take a knee?
Can I go in on that?
Yeah, man,
Next time.
Next time.
Yeah, I'm wrapping up the show. But all right,
That'll take the
you want to
whole
jump
show.
in? Man, that'll take the whole show. Let me wrap this show up. Yeah, well, you got 30 seconds.
Make sure.
Yeah.
I'm jumping on what you
Go ahead.
said.
Yeah.
And make sure you give roses to those gentlemen.
That's good.
That are in your life right now, or who actually made a difference in your life. Make sure
Yeah.
you give roses to them while they're still here.
Or a cigar. Hey, I like
There you
nice
go.
ties.
There you go.
Or a tie, or a handkerchief, or something.
Pay homage
That's
how
right.
you
If it's a
feel.
cigar,
Yes, sir.
it's a Padron. 1926 or 46. You can never go wrong with
We're
the
doing the
Padron.
13 as well. Doing 13 as well.
And
Yes,
so
sir.
the other the other reflection question: how has those influences made a difference in your life?
So I like to jump in on that one.
All right.
So I had many men in my
20
life.
seconds.
20 seconds.
Yeah.
Many men in my life that helped me out.
That's good.
A lot of my friends, fathers,
Absolutely.
gave me first jobs doing construction. A lot of the men who my sister dated gave me all kind of motivation. They helped me out. I don't have any regrets. My dad was a Korean vet.
Yeah.
I'm understanding every day, and I'm learning.
That's
I
good.
understand his struggle, and I respect him.
Yeah.
I still love the man,
That's good.
Can't change it and wouldn't change anything because it made me the man I am right now.
There you go.
And so I want you to make peace with your past. If you are active duty, and I want you to reach out to your chaplains. They are incredible professionals. You also have on the post family life chaplains who have incredible training to use science to allow you to walk through those tough areas of your life. If you are a civilian, I highly, thoroughly recommend counseling. I really do. Prayer is great. conversation is great, but also seeing someone who you can